Hey everyone, I'm back again and I have a message for you as just a reminder, one that I want to talk into a little bit about, my own story as I always do, but I want to share with you this really important message because I get to speak to so many of you amazing individuals out there who are always striving to be your best, and you want to create the quality of connections at your highest potential. And a lot of us get stuck in the trap of wanting to be liked and loved by everybody. And the thing is, it's just not going to work out that way, unfortunately, right? But that's why this message is so super important. And the message for you guys today, and I really want you to take this in, really just sit with this, okay? Because people want to experience and love the real you, not an attractive construction that stands in the way of you, okay? If you need to think about that again, please let it sink in, because it has the capacity to revolutionize your life, how you show up in life, how you show up in all of your relationships, and definitely get you out of your own way. Because we think as we develop and we grow up, we kind of perceive that there's certain things that we need to do, certain ways that we need to be, certain things that we need to achieve in order to be seen in a good light, in order to be loved, right? And so what I want to do is help you to see what a fallacy that is, because I don't know about you, but I spent majority of my life just being the chameleon, being that person who could tap into what other people wanted or expected of me and just rolled with that, right? Just became whatever that was, depended on the group or the person or the environment or whatever. And I wasn't even consciously aware of any of this at play until over time, my relationships felt kind of hollow. Like it kind of felt to me like there was an emptiness, and there was kind of this sense of just like a shallowness and emptiness, and kind of this, kind of got to this point where I felt like I can't be anything but perfect in these dynamics or these relationships. And of course, I created that. And the reason why I created that was because I was trying to be this construction of what I felt people wanted from me. And you might be able to relate to this, but at the end of the day, if we want depth of connection in our relationships, right? If we don't want them to just be shallow, meaningless connections that we have, and we actually want to experience true fulfillment with other people, we have to realize that those people out there that we would be good for us to be in any type of relationship with, they want to experience and love the real you, not the construction that's standing in between you and them, okay? And otherwise what happens is, and the trap that I fell into, was that you might get the love or the acceptance or the approval or the likability that you're seeking with that construction, but when you do, it's terrible. Why? Because what you're doing is you're reinforcing to yourself that your true self, your real self, isn't lovable just as you are. And it reinforces the fact in your mind that you think that you need to continue to construct a different version of yourself, a mask of yourself, instead of being the real you. And that is the loneliest pathway possible. If you think that you can't show up as the truth of who you are because then you'll lose your connections, that's a pretty lonely place to be. When you don't feel like you can be anything less than perfect, pretty lonely place to be. A pretty misunderstood place to be, where you feel like nobody gets you, nobody understands you, nobody knows who you really are. And on top of that, You don't want to show them potentially who you are because you've reinforced for so long this construction of yourself that is necessary in your mind to get that love, right? It is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and one that I discovered for myself actually at my very first Tony Robbins event that I went to, when I actually sat and questioned myself about who I even was, and it was a total wake-up call to see how I'd constructed this whole personality that each and every one of us do. So between the ages of 0 and 7, we decide who we think we need to be in order to get the love, acceptance, approval from those people that we look up to in our life. Usually parents, and it's usually the parent that we feel like we had to work more for the love and approval for. We decide who we need to be, and from that place, as up to 7-year-old, we're still actually playing that same game, that same construction. And we're doing that as adults. And we're wondering why we have emptiness, we have shallowness, we don't have the depth of connection that we're really after in our connections. And the answer lies in your constructed self. Realize that you're living as a constructed self. Realize that constructed self is standing in between you and the people that you love, all right? And realize that you decided who that constructed self was going to be at a very young age before you had any real experience and any, ability to really comprehend who it is that you truly are. And know that as an adult, making these sort of discoveries, building your awareness will lead you to transformation and change in a positive way, where instead of defaulting into that past constructed self, you now get to step into the truth of who you are. Design who that truly is. Drop all the constructed parts of who you are and know that your authenticity is the greatest, most empowering filter for your life in every decision, in every pathway that you have the opportunity to go down, so you want to use that filter of your authenticity, and you're going to repel and attract 50-50. 50% of the population are going to be absolutely attracted to you and who you are, and 50% are going to be totally repelled. All right, so wouldn't you rather have a filter in place that's the truth of who you are, so that you can get rid of the people out of your life who they won't love you for you. They want you to continue as that constructed self, and invite the people into your life who absolutely want you to be all of who you are, and they expect you to be. They don't want anything less than the truth of who you are. They're the quality of people that you want in your life, but you will not come across them until you're willing to own your constructed self and realize it's not the truth of who you are. You have another way, you have another option, and if you are totally uncertain of who you really are and you want to discover that, that's the work I do. And why do I do this work? It's because I didn't know who the hell I was, and it took me up until the age of about 24, 25 to even contemplate the question of who I might be and get off the path that I felt was expected of me, and actually start discovering the path that I am on now that is totally in alignment with who I am and what I want to create in this world. And it's empowering, a lot more empowering than when you get stuck in a constructed self that you feel like you're trapped in, and you'll lose everybody in your life if you question it. The truth is, you'll only lose those who do not resonate with the truth of who you are, and you don't want them in your life anyway. And the moment you step into the truth of who you are is the moment that you'll actually open up the doors to connect with the quality of people who are absolutely resonating with the truth of who you are and expect you to be that way and want the best for you. All right, so I could go on all day on this topic, but I hope that me talking into it is of value to you guys, and it's got you thinking and resonating and questioning what constructions you've put up for yourself that are getting in the way of your depth of connection, and realize that the people really want to experience and love the real you, not an attractive construction that stands in between you, okay? And in the way of the truth of you. All right. Let's dive in. I'd love to connect with you. So make sure that you're dropping me a comment, say hi, share any words of wisdom. Where in the world are you tuning in from? You know what I love. I love connecting with you guys. So I've got Alex in the house and Tommy and DB and Adrian and Michael and Elf and Laval. Awesome to see all of you guys. And DB, good morning, V. I hope all is well. You're wonderful and amazing. Oh, I appreciate those beautiful compliments there, DB. And I'm doing really well, and I hope that you are as well. Alex, hello Vanessa, looking beautiful like always. Thank you, my friend. I totally agree with your message, but unfortunately not everyone is good-hearted and not everyone has the love towards others like some people do. This is true, it's absolutely true. But that's all the more reason to go about being and discovering who it is that you really are and dropping all the constructions and showing up in the world as the true authentic self, because that will filter out and repel all those people who, don't have your best interests at heart, don't want you to be all of who you are. Filter those people out. Don't be afraid of not being liked. That will always keep you stuck in a path and a life of loneliness and emptiness, even if you're surrounded by people. All right, I love that, Alex. And Jerry, hi Vanessa, glad to be with everyone live. So good to see you. I love it when you guys can join me live. That makes me feel like we're having a conversation, and I love the words that you share, your wisdom that you share, and just connecting, and love you guys. And Ellen's here as well, and Muli, and Nadi J, hello to you, and Judy's here, and Jerry, 3:39, I'm thinking AM in Quebec City, Canada. Wow, that is dedication. Hope you got a good night's sleep and you're not up in the middle of the night. And Angela's here. And Banu, at this stage of life, I am feeling this. Oh my God, your words, just felt them. Thank you. Your wonderful words helped. Oh, I am so grateful to hear that, Banu. And great to have you live. And I'm loving, the reason why I do these messages for you guys is because I want you to have that sort of experience. Like somebody gets you, somebody understands, and it makes you feel more empowered and you're going to do something about it. So love that, Banu. And thank you so much for sharing that with us and for showing up. Lovely to have you. And Tim, thank you for this timely message. Vanessa, you among others always have shared timely messages. Oh, that's great. I have felt lost for a few months as I'm struggling to be my real self. And when you go against your true self, you feel very empty and alone. So much love for you, Tim. My heart is with you, my friend. I absolutely know that feeling all too well. I've oftentimes fell back into that pattern, because how I'm wired is I have a tendency to be more connected to the external world and what's going on with other people. And sometimes I lose track of my real self. I've had to build that muscle over time, and I only really started building it, back when I was about 24 years old. That's when I started tapping into who the hell is the real me, and what does that feel like? How can I know the difference? And it's a journey. And there are going to be times where we, fall back into the pattern of being led astray and maybe falling into some sort of insecurity, and we put a constructed self there in order to quote unquote protect ourselves. But as you go on that journey, it's maybe we take a couple of steps back and then we go 10 steps forward, on this journey. So the more experiences you have, even with what you don't want, the more it's going to help you progress forward so that you don't fall victim to that further down your track, and you can keep building that muscle. So keep going, Tim. I love that you've had the courage to share your experience here. I love it when you guys do that. And I'm totally with you. And just get back on track and get clear. Sometimes we lack clarity because we're always growing, we're always evolving, particularly you guys in your personal development. So it takes, sometimes we need to check back in. We need to work out, well, who am I now? What are my values? Where do I want to go? What's my vision? What inspires me? What do I stand for? What do I stand against? Those kind of quality questions will help you with clarity. And that's why I like, personally, I write each day. I go into what's going on for myself so that I can keep on top of the real me. Keep being that rather than fall victim to being back in that constructed self, thinking it's going to protect us when it absolutely doesn't. So much love for you there, Tim. And Damien's here, and Ho Ping, and Sean, and Farine. Awesome. And Jerry, we have to remain authentic and true to ourselves. With our good and bad, that is who others will relate to. Absolutely, and the thing is, the most powerful, if I can speak properly, powerful thing about being yourself is that when you're truly and deeply being totally authentic and you know in your heart of hearts who it is that you truly are, nobody, no matter what they do or say, can throw you off your path. It's only when you doubt who you are, you question if you're a good person, all those different things that go on inside of ourselves, that anybody in the outside world has the power to affect us, all right, or trigger us. And if they do trigger us, use it as a guiding post to go, it's not them who can make me feel this way. They're just pushing on something that I believe about myself. So go to work on what that belief is, what that limitation is, how you're feeling about yourself and why. And I guarantee you the way that you wipe the slate clean and you step forward with empowerment is by knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and having the courage to be true to who you are and go after what it is that you're most inspired by, despite your fears. So I love that, Jerry. Thanks so much for sharing. And Deborah's here. Awesome. And Renee and Julie and Adrian. Hi, Vanessa. Thank you for this important message. So deep, beautiful and spot on. We have to be careful who we pretend to be so we don't forget who we are. Absolutely. Authenticity over everything. I love that, Adrian. So cool. And I always appreciate your words of wisdom being shared here, and always love that we're always resonating with one another there. And yeah, absolutely. I love how you've put that. We have to be careful of who we pretend to be so we don't forget who we are. That is awesome. That is a quote in itself, my friend. And DB, perfect. Thank you. I'm loving that this is resonating with you. And Martin, good morning or good evening my time, coming back at you. And always great. Thanks, DB. And Jeff's here as well, and Zara and Kyle and Banu. Thank you, lovely. You're always welcome, beautiful soul. And DB, 148 in Utah on your birthday. Happy birthday, DB. That is awesome. So yeah, hope you've got an amazing day planned. Maybe you're partying right now, and I love that you're spending your Facebook Live time with me right now. So you guys are night owls. I'm like dead to the world at those times. I love it. Alex, hope you are well. I agree with your message. Oh yeah, sorry, I already read that. Awesome. And DB, I did find my way in September of what you were talking about, and it's been the best road for me. Oh, DB, that is so awesome to hear. The path of authenticity, when we discover that, is the most empowering path that we could ever go on. When I discovered that I was on the wrong path, what was holding me back, I knew I was going to experience repercussions from expressing the truth of who I was and realizing I had to get off the path that I was on. I realized that I was going to get the repercussions from the people in my life. But because I had certainty now for the first time in my life about who I was and of what wasn't right for me, it didn't matter. I could actually handle, the challenge that I was faced with, particularly from my family at the time, who now have come right around and are, my biggest raving fans, but have to go through those challenges. But the point is, when you're authentic, you have the courage to move forward and nobody can sway you from that. All right, so I love that. Thanks so much for sharing that, DB. I'm grateful that you have been on that road. And Bonnie, oh my gosh, Bronwyn, wow, blast from the past, I love it. So does that mean you still have Talitha in your life? Because you two were like, yeah, I know, in your younger years, and you seemed like you knew who you were well before your 20s. I love that, Bonnie. Great question. And it's so funny that you should ask that, because Talitha just actually added me as a friend on Facebook just last night. So we're reconnected. And for you guys who don't know what the hell we're talking about right now, Bonnie or Bronwyn was one of the girls that I went all through primary school with, into my first high school before I moved to Sydney. And she's talking about Talitha was my very best girlfriend who we were inseparable. Talitha and I, from I think it was grade 2 all the way through to when I left Melbourne in year 8. So I was about 14, I think. Yeah, about 14. We were inseparable, best friends. And I had no idea who I was before my 20s. But the thing is, I had no idea that I didn't know who I was, right? That's the thing. We don't actually know the fallacy that we're living in our lives until we question. And I didn't know we could even question that. I didn't have that level of consciousness until I went to a Tony Robbins personal development event, and I was forced to ask myself questions I'd never asked myself before. And that's when I discovered how out of alignment I was. And most of you guys have heard my story about being on the pathway to become the lawyer. And I had a year and a half, left on my law degree. And it was getting to the point where my body was responding. It was like I couldn't address it though. It knew that I wasn't on the right path. It knew I was doing what I was doing for all the wrong reasons, but I didn't have anywhere else to turn. I didn't have the clarity in the direction. And so, getting clear on who you are comes from asking yourself quality questions. And it just so happened that happened for me in a Tony Robbins personal development event, which sparked my whole changing career to do what it is that I do now. So, but yeah, Bonnie, that's weird. So Talitha and I, we did drift apart. I moved locations. We stayed in contact for a while. I'd come back to Melbourne and we'd reconnect, but we didn't really have all that much in common other than the past. Because we had kind of gone in different directions. So I'm excited to actually see what happens now, now that we've reconnected, which is so weird that you're asking me that question right as that's happened. So anyway, hope that that answers your question, and good to have you on here. And DB, stay positive and knowing your worth, know everything that is best for you. Absolutely, my friend. Such words of wisdom. I absolutely love that. And Scotty's here, and Sonula, and DB, thank you. I am just chilling next to my son while he's passed out. I love it. That's awesome. Well, I hope you have the most brilliant birthday, my friend. And sorry, I've done so much talking today. I think my throat has just about packed up. Lombardo, thank you for sharing. I needed this message. I'm going to build the construction that will make me able to show up my real self instead. I love that, Lombardo, and it's awesome to have you here. And I love that today's message has resonated. And remember, it's not about so much constructing a new self as much as it is tearing down the parts of us that we have constructed and seeing what's underneath that. And it takes a lot of vulnerability. It takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of openness. Sometimes we need a bit of a support network around us because when we change, unfortunately in life, we end up, some of the people around us get threatened or thrown off by that. And they don't want us to change because they have certainty in who we are, and they don't know how it's going to affect them and their life and their connection with you. So just be mindful of that. Realize that you may have to go through some challenges in order to deconstruct yourself and show up as the real you. And I love that you're on that journey, Lombardo, and thanks so much for sharing it and for being here. Elliot, hello to you, my friend, and Savula and Stephen and Heath are here as well. So I love you guys showing up live. Thank you so much for contributing, sharing your wisdom, sharing your experiences, and just, joining in the conversation. I hope that today's message has absolutely served you, and it's really got you thinking and really just sitting with the fact that people want to experience and love the real you, not an attractive construction that stands in the way of you. Okay, remember that, take it with you, meditate on it, whatever you've got to do to let that sink in, and ask yourself what parts of you are constructed and for what reasons. Who did you think you needed to be when you were a child? For your mum, for your dad, for whoever. And see, is that still true for you now, right? And sometimes we don't quite know where to go. We just know where not to go anymore. All right. That was my journey. And sometimes that's where it starts. So just know that, and just go about the journey of one step in front of the other and discover and experience the truth of who you are. And I'd love to support you on that journey. So you can always reach out to me. I'll always support you in absolutely any way that I can. And as always, guys, I'm sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. I really do hope that it's beautiful, amazing, and extraordinary, that you're doing something super empowering. And as I said, today's message has served you. I'm sending you guys all of my love, and I'm about to sign off. And thank you again for showing up and being live, and for your questions and everything. So much love for each and every one of you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.